I decided to visit my wife. I walked toward that place with a strange weight in my chest, thinking I would bring her a small lunch and a warm drink, and maybe she would smile at me the way she used to in the early years when life felt simple and soft. But as I stepped inside, something felt wrong, like the air itself was warning me that what I believed about my life was about to fall apart in a way I could never prepare for. I kept moving through the hallway, hoping the day would be ordinary, hoping she would be happy to see me, but instead the guard looked at me with confusion, then amusement, and he pointed toward another man and said something that made my legs go weak. He said, "Your wife just left with her husband." And in that moment, everything around me seemed to blur, as if the floor itself was slipping away. I wanted to believe it was a mistake. I wanted to believe she would walk in and explain everything, but deep inside I felt something cold settle in my chest, because for months I had seen small signs, things that did not make sense, late nights, tired eyes, excuses that felt rehearsed, moments where she seemed close, yet far, like her mind was living somewhere I could not reach. I walked back to our home carrying a silence that felt heavier than stone, and when she returned later that evening with that soft smile I used to treasure, I watched her act out a version of herself that no longer felt real. I could see the distance in her eyes, the hesitation in her voice, the way she talked about her day, with the smoothness of someone who had practiced her lines long before speaking them. The next morning, the truth kept tightening around me, and by the third day, I could barely breathe. Every time she picked up her phone or walked into another room, she was living one life with me and another with someone else, and I finally understood that I was nothing more than a shadow in a story she had already rewritten. When she wore that black dress I once gave her for a birthday dinner, she told me she had a meeting and she left the house with a laptop bag she did not need, and I stood in the doorway watching her walk toward a future she never intended to share with me. Later that night, I found messages on her device, messages full of plans, dinners, jokes, promises, all written for someone who was not me, and that discovery felt like a blade sliding into a part of me I did not know could break. She was not confused, she was not lost, she was certain. She was building a life behind my back with confidence and comfort, while I waited at home believing she was exhausted from work. Days passed, and each one felt like standing in freezing water, my heart numb, my mind spinning as I watched her pretend to love me, pretend to worry about me, pretend to be the woman I trusted for so many years, and each lie she told with ease showed me how far she had drifted from the vows we once shared. When the weekend arrived, I placed all the evidence on the table and waited for her to walk through the door. She looked at everything with no fear, no guilt, no panic, only calculation. Her first words were not apologies or explanations. Her first words were, "How much do you know?" And that answer told me everything about who she had become. She said she loved someone else. She said he made her feel alive. She said our marriage had been over for years. She said I was safe, but not enough. She said she had outgrown the man who spent decades loving her without hesitation. She said she was planning to marry him soon, and she wanted a clean, quiet ending to our life together. I sat there feeling like the air had been punched out of my lungs. I had spent years thinking I was building a home with her, but she had already chosen another path, another partner, another dream, and she had left me walking in circles inside a story that no longer belonged to me. When I met with a lawyer the following week, he looked through the documents and the financial records, and he told me she had been planning this for a very long time. She used our savings for her secret apartment. She used my trust to hide her meetings. She used my silence to create a version of herself that she shared with another man. While I believed we were a team working for the same future, I realized she had been letting me carry the weight of our life. While she stepped into a world where I did not exist, she did not cry, she did not break. She did not even falter. Her heart had left our home long before her body finally walked out the door. When she moved her things out, she did not look back, not once. I stood in the doorway, remembering every moment of the life we tried to build together, and I understood that I had not lost her that day. I had lost her long ago, but I had been too blind, too hopeful, too loyal to see it. I spent nights sitting in the empty living room thinking about the man I had been, the one who believed in honesty, commitment, promises, the one who never imagined betrayal. could be so calm, so organized, so quiet, I wondered. If I had been foolish or simply kind, I wondered if love was meant to hurt, or if I had chosen the wrong person to give my heart to. But slowly, in that quiet space between heartbreak and acceptance, I began to understand something important. I had loved with everything I had. I had given truth, loyalty, devotion, and she had given her heart to someone else that did not make me weak. It made me real. And even though the life I knew collapsed in front of me, the truth gave me a strange kind of freedom. A painful freedom, but freedom nonetheless. I could finally walk forward. Without lies, without shadows. Without pretending I could build a new life, one where love was honest and shared and true. And as I stepped out of that broken chapter, I carried nothing from her, not her lies, not her choices, not her betrayal, only the strength that comes from surviving the moment you thought would destroy you and walking, anyway, toward whatever waits next in the quiet light of a new beginning.